Hey, good morning. I'm Bill Whitley. I'm a sports pilot CFI, both weight shift and airplane. And I'm here with my good friend Dennis this morning. Dennis and I have been working a little bit together. I train in a Challenger 2, which is a high-wing pusher aircraft. And Dennis is famous for and makes a really terrific Aerolite 103. Dennis, talk a little bit, if you would, about the 103 and what it is and how it works.
Aerolite 103, the design's been around for about 20 years. We've been building them here at our facility in Deland, Florida for about 6 years, a little over 6 years. And it's an aircraft that can be built as from a kit as either a Part 103 airplane or a 51% amateur built experimental. And then we also supply them as factory built, ready to fly as a Part 103 also.
Great. And I've had a number of people come to me and they want to get transition training. There might be Cessna pilots. I've had a couple of airline pilots actually, and they like the low and slow. They like the the lightweight of the plane, and they want to get transition training to it. So I've been taking them up in my Challenger 2, and it's a high wing pusher plane also, which is your plane, and it seems to work out pretty well in terms of the training and so forth. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's exactly correct. And when for years when we were doing training in-house here as well, we were using a Challenger 2 trainer as well. And the speed range, the handling characteristics are similar enough that if a pilot is taking transition training and he can successfully complete that in the Challenger, he can step right into the Aerolite and fly it. Right,
with confidence, and makes it an easy transition.
Yep,
really.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, I really have been enjoying working with people, various people. Some people have no experience at all, and so we do primary training and so forth. And then there's a lot of, like I say, transition training. Maybe guys have flown a Cessna, and they, over the years kind of faded away, and now they want to get back into it. And so they're coming to me and asking about it. And I highly recommend your plane, the Aerolite 103. It's just a great little plane. It's fantastic in terms of price, and easy to fly, so it seems to be working out real well.
Well, we say we can't build them fast enough, and we literally can't build them fast enough. But our background for our customers, it's really all over the map, and I would say at least 50% of them are private pilots. They've flown, they've just not flown this type of aircraft. And so the pilots recognize they need some transition training to get into a different type of machine, and that's what they're looking for. And then we have some percentage that is brand new to the sport and they've not flown anything, and obviously they need a little more training. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I've noticed in people, not to put down general aviation because it's important and it's there, but the expense that's involved.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about if you own a Cessna. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. The plane is expensive, and then it's a certified aircraft, so that means you have to have all the certified parts and A&P to work on it and so forth. Insurance, hangar. It gets to be really a pretty expensive deal. So people I've talked to say, well, they want to fly, but, how can we do this in a more economic way?
Yeah.
And so I talked to them about ultralights and light sport aircraft. And now correct me if I'm wrong on this, if you have this plane, you can do your own maintenance on it.
Oh, yeah.
And even if it's registered as an amateur built or an ELSA, then you can get their certificate from the FAA and do your own maintenance on it. So that's worked out real well for me, and I think a lot of people appreciate that. Also, they get to know their plane a lot better when they have a hands-on feeling with it.
That's exactly right, and a lot of the folks who are general aviation aircraft owners, they reach a point where their flying consists of going out on the weekends and flying 15 or 20 miles to the breakfast somewhere, and they tally up what that's costing them in a year's time and scratch their head and say, well, wait a minute, I can do this for a whole lot less money in an ultralight or a light sport aircraft.
Right. Now, one of the things too, you don't have to land this at an airport, do you?
No, we have lots of guys that fly it off of 500 feet in their backyard.
Yeah. I have a grass strip near High Springs, and we use it for training, and guys come over. We also have some radio control guys come over and so forth. So it's kind of a family deal, and people see each other. and it's it's not crowded, so you can get your plane in and out, and you don't have to worry too much about the traffic. So you can fly out of a cow pasture that's mowed and safe to fly out of. You don't have to fly out of an airport.
That's right. Yep. And that's appealing to a lot of guys, especially guys that have a few hundred feet of space and a clear approach in their backyard. They're living the dream flying out of their backyard.
Right. Keep the plane at home and fly out of your backyard.
Yep.
And you can do it. Now, I like to fly mainly in the mornings, early in the mornings and late in the afternoon, because a lot of times the wind will pick up or you'll get some thermals during the day. Now, I know you are a great pilot, and I know you can fly this plane anytime and so forth. But is there a problem with flying it in the daytime and when you get some thermals and so forth?
Well, not really a problem as far as control or being able to keep a straight track across the ground in a crosswind or something like that. But what I tell people is there's a wind speed number where it stops becoming fun and starts becoming work, and that number may be different for some people, but there is a number out there somewhere. So.
Right. Yeah. I tell people this: I'm flying for fun. If it's not fun, I'm not flying. And when I'm bouncing all over the sky and it's really rough, hey. It's like this. Some people talk to me and say, well, what can you do? And I said, well, it's not a 747. You can take a 16-foot boat out in the 10-foot seas, but it's not a good idea.
Right, that's right.
So the same thing with an airplane. Each airplane, in my opinion, has its own place.
Yep.
And for what we're talking about here, for fun, recreational flying in nice weather, this is a great aircraft to do it.
Yeah, and it's economical. I mean, we've got owners that can afford to buy the airplane. Their operating costs are $10 an hour or less, including maintenance reserves, and you can't do that in any other airplane.
Yeah, certainly not in a certified aircraft. Let me ask you just a kind of a summary question here to kind of wrap this up. What about transporting it? Is there a problem with transporting? How do we do that, and what's the best way to move the aircraft?
Well, our Aerolite, when it's disassembled, and it takes 20 or 30 minutes to take it apart and 30 to 40 minutes to put it back together, and we have owners who have an enclosed trailer, and they do that every time that they fly. And you can put the airplane in a 14-foot enclosed trailer, and it fits just fine. And you can those trailers, a 14-foot cargo trailer. Heck, any Craigslist, any place in the country, for $1,500 you can have a trailer to move your aircraft, and that is appealing to the guys who don't have their own place to fly it off their property, or they don't have hangar space readily available where they are at. And having said that, though, Bill, I will tell you that a lot of guys who start out down that path, they do it 3 or 4 times, and then they go, well, that was an hour and a half, I could have been flying, and they find a place to put it.
Yeah, that same thing with trikes. We've seen that a lot.